Good evening, everyone. I'm Richard Breen, Chair of the Peggy Browning Fund. I'm honored to be your MC this evening and to welcome you to the Peggy Browning Fund's 25th anniversary Philadelphia Virtual Awards Program. Tonight, we're celebrating 25 years of providing law students with unique experiences and advocating for the rights and needs of workers. And we're also celebrating the career of our retired executive director, Mary Ann Moffa. So sit back and relax as we learn about our namesake and the first 25 years of the Peggy Browning Fund.
My name is Joe Lurie. I'm president of the Peggy Browning Fund. I'm also founder of the Peggy Browning Fund. Peggy was my wife, and this fund was founded as a legacy to her. She was a very big believer in workplace justice, the labor movement, unions, and she was the first union-side labor lawyer appointed to the National Labor Relations Board. And she was passionate about the labor movement and believed in unionism throughout the country.
She could stand up just to anybody. And when President Clinton picked her for the NLRB, we were all so certain she'd do a fabulous job.
We were actually confirmed together, and she became one of my dear close friends. And she was truly a remarkable human being. She was smart and thoughtful, and she was truly impressive.
Unfortunately, about a year after she got appointed on the board, she developed breast cancer. And throughout the whole cancer, she never missed a day. She was the toughest person I ever met, and also a great woman, and a fun partner. After she passed away, I decided to honor her by establishing the Peggy Browning Fund. And I came up with this idea to encourage law students who are progressive and interested perhaps in the labor movement to work for economic and social justice in the United States. I decided that I could do this by setting up a nonprofit.
So Joe called us together and presented this idea. We said, Joe, it's a great idea. We're with you. We'll try to help you make it happen. The Browning Fund today has become an institution that is well known in law schools across the country, has become a prestigious fellowship. And the Peggy Browning Fund has made it possible for her idealism, her principles, her passion for these important issues to live on in a way that she would have been so happy and proud of.
Our summer fellowship program is the central part of our work. Each year, we place law students with mentor organizations in the labor movement across the country, such as unions, worker centers, union-side law firms, and nonprofit organizations. These students have the opportunity to experience what a career would be like advocating for workplace justice. The second program is our National Law Students Workers' Rights Conference. It's held over 2 days every year in October. Students participate in workshops, panel discussions, keynote addresses, and networking. On an average, we have 170 to 180 law students from all across the country. Our third program is our regional workshop program. I'm advocating for workers' rights. Each year in the fall, we coordinate 1-hour panel discussions at law schools across the country. We know that workers' rights everywhere are being attacked. Labor needs lawyers, and law positions are available to young lawyers and older lawyers who come out of law school today and say, okay, I want to do this type of work. And we hope that the fellows that we produce are passionate and add that passion to the work they do in the labor movement and indeed make the labor movement stronger.
PBF attracts the best candidates, right? Not just students who are interested in public interest, but specifically students who are committed to doing union-side labor law or who are very interested and want to see what it's like.
I was very interested in labor advocacy when I went into law school, but through this fellowship, it just reinforced my vision that I want to become a labor attorney.
I had not one, but 2 experiences as a Peggy Browning Fellow, and they deepened even further my commitment to the labor movement and were absolutely crucial to my career as a future labor lawyer.
During the fellowship at UFCW, I got not only the legal experience in terms of drafting briefs and doing legal research, but also going out and interviewing workers who were organizing with our Walmart campaign out in the field.
It not only made me feel more certain that this is the type of work that I wanted to do, but I feel like I have a good substantive foundation to actually contribute to the workers' rights movement.
One of the most special aspects of my Peggy Browning Fellowship was really the people during this time. I got very conscious and helpful mentorship that has lasted to this day.
I have served as a mentor with the Peggy Browning Fund program now for a number of years. They bring their heart, their soul, their minds into this work. They are so enthusiastic. They are so willing to learn and to develop their skills and to really go out there and make a difference.
We're training the whole next generation of union advocates. CWA in its extended form all across the country, our various districts and sectors have had 84 Peggy Browning Fellows over the years.
We have had, over the course of the last 25 years, almost 60 Peggy Browning Fellows in our legal department.
2 of our associates at Slevin and Hart are former Peggy Browning Fellows. So we've had great experience.
We have had Peggy Browning Fellows here at SAG-AFTRA in the past. And so I really have seen firsthand the impact that Peggy Browning Fellowship can make.
I think the PBF program has strengthened the work that we do on behalf of our members and working people every day, because we get the benefit of future attorneys that are committed to the labor movement, committed to working people, committed to being movement lawyers.
Labor leaders can't do it on their own. We need protection on the NLRB. We need protection in every crisis that comes out, and we need their guidance almost daily.
They're not going to make the money that they would make at corporate America. We know that. But there's a tremendous amount of satisfaction when you're able to accomplish the things that we're trying to accomplish in society to make life better for everyone.
We need to have great advocates that not only understand the law, but also understand labor. And that's why I feel that the Peggy Browning Fund is fantastic.
That mix of people with grassroots experience with these sharp legal minds is what makes the labor movement effective. And most of these law students come from working class families who can't afford to really explore these sort of opportunities on their own.
It is really important that students like me and working class students, students of color, have this sort of professional experience while also not putting their own financial well-being excessively at risk.
Without Peggy Browning, only people who came from wealthier backgrounds could volunteer to do labor work and to learn that trade. That's the point of having something like Peggy Browning, because no matter who you are, where you come from, you're given an opportunity to take that step up.
We all know that law school is getting crazy expensive, that student debt is out of control, but the labor movement needs really good lawyers. We can't afford to lose people, and we are going to pay you fairly.
It was a huge relief to me to be able to have the money to, afford food and rent and transportation, and just be able to focus on learning about labor law and what I could do to help people as a lawyer.
I think it's so important to have the Peggy Browning Fund around, supporting students who are bilingual, minorities, and would like to be bilingual attorneys in the future. That is an opportunity for our low-income workers to get the representation of qualified attorneys in the future.
In these times now, it's more important than ever to invest in a new generation of leaders, because there's so much work that's already happening out there in terms of activism, community organizing, and we really need a new lens to think about how lawyers can play a part in the equation for social justice.
This is the 25th anniversary of the Peggy Browning Fund. And I'm proudest of two things. First, we made sure that Peggy's name didn't die. Second, her work and her life are going to live on, and the hundreds of Peggy Browning Fellows who've gone out into the world to fight for workers and make it a better place.
It's a legacy for progressives in the United States who care about the labor movement, who care about workplace justice. And without you guys, that couldn't happen. So I thank you dearly for your contributions.
We all need to be committed to making sure that this incredible program continues for at least 25 more years and beyond.
Events like tonight's are the primary means of supporting our programs. As many of you know, we host similar annual receptions in Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, and Washington, D.C. Thank you all for your support of our programs tonight and always. You'll notice that we're displaying the logos of tonight's supporters on screen during this program. We have recognized our Leadership Circle members, those who make annual leadership level gifts, and tonight's sponsors, without whom this awards program would not have been possible. Also, it's my pleasure to recognize this evening's steward sponsors and our guardian sponsor. Tonight, we'd like to recognize the more than 20 years of devoted and passionate commitment to workers' rights of our awardee, the recently retired Executive Director of the Peggy Browning Fund, Mary Ann Moffa. As you saw during our anniversary video, Mary Ann and Joe Laurie built this organization to the level it's become over the last 25 years. They made it possible for PBF to broaden its horizons, and they laid the foundation for the next 25 years. It's an honor to walk in Mary Ann's footsteps as we take on the challenges of our next chapter. Traditionally at our awards programs, we bestow the Peggy Browning Fund Award on persons for their contributions to the labor movement and the fight for social, economic, and racial justice in America. We will do so tonight by giving the Peggy Browning Award to Mary Ann Moffa. In addition, to show our enduring gratitude to Mary Ann, we are announcing tonight the establishment of the Mary Ann Moffa Fellowship, which will be awarded each year to a law student whose future career fighting for working people will fittingly honor her name. As chair of the board of directors, I'm proud to announce that the board itself will lead the drive to fund the fellowship. It's now my pleasure to present the Peggy Browning Fund Award to Mary Ann Moffa, extraordinary leader, recruiter of workers' rights lawyers, creating worker-focused programs, improving the lives of working people. Join me in welcoming tonight's 25th anniversary awardee, Mary Ann Moffa.
First of all, I'd like to say a very heartfelt thank you for honoring me with this very prestigious award. I appreciate the recognition, and at the same time, I'm very humbled by it. This was more than a job to me. It was more than a career. It was a calling. It was about our mission, and it was that sense of mission that enabled me to give it my all, and that I saw in so many of our Peggy Browning Fellows and our alumni over the years. I grew up in a working class family in a small town right outside Philadelphia, where my family had lived since the early 1900s. My grandparents came over from Italy in the late 1800s. They came here, as so many immigrants do, for a better life and looking for better opportunities for the family. After my father's service in World War II, he started working as a plumber. And unfortunately, he was not in a union, and he always suffered from that lack of opportunity. I think he worked for the organization for 25 years before he had a paid holiday or paid healthcare or a paid day off. And when I was a child, just growing up, it was very clear that was a real injustice. So that gave me a very early awareness of the needs of workers. When I first came to Peggy Browning Fund, there were so many people involved who knew Peggy well. And it was so wonderful to hear all the stories about Peggy and how talented she was and what a brilliant lawyer she was and how committed both to workers' rights and also to mentoring law students. I mean, I heard even from management side attorneys how much respect they had for Peggy. When Joe and I Joe Laurie and I first met to talk about the job. Joe didn't even want to think a year down the line. He was playing it very much in the short term. And I kept saying, what's going to happen 3 years from now, 5 years, 10 years from now? And here we are 20 plus years later and going stronger than ever and continuing to grow. And Joe and I saw from the beginning how it could play a vital part in the labor movement if we had enough support and we could keep it going. So we were determined to find ways to make that happen. Some of the accomplishments at the Peggy Browning Fund that I'm most proud of, well, to start with the fact that we've grown our fellowship program in so many ways, not just numerically, but substantively, diversely, geographically. I'm proud of the way we've made it easy for students to participate. Very often, students don't even hear about our programs till the very last minute, right before the deadlines. But I've never believed in adding red tape to the world. So I've always made it as easy as possible for them to get their materials to us and connect the right people who needed to get to know each other. Students have really appreciated that. I'm really proud of the kind of feedback we've had from students, from mentors, from schools. You know, the students will tell us what great experiences they've had and how it's so often they'll say, this summer changed my life. And that's exactly what we're aiming to do. So when they say that we've helped them accomplish that, that's very gratifying. My message to the next generation of law students interested in workers' rights is we need you. The labor movement needs you. Workers and their families need you. It's critical that the Peggy Browning Fund continue to recruit and educate the next generation of lawyers advocating for workplace justice. Look at the correlation between the rise and the fall of union membership and the rise and fall of the middle class over the past 50 years. Look at how the wealth gap has increased in the past 50 years. Look at how the pandemic has encouraged so many workers to finally say they're not going to take it anymore. This is a prime time for the labor movement to organize workers and for workers to assert their rights. This is an exciting time to be involved in this field. The organization is in a really strong position. It's in very good hands. It has a strong board of directors, a very talented board of directors. We have an exciting new executive director, Rachel Del Rossi. We have strong support from the labor movement. We have countless more talented law students passionate about the issues related to workers' rights and social and economic and racial justice. They're eager to use their talent for this worthy cause. There are so many people that I'd like to thank individually, starting with my family, but the list is way too long for this video. I'll treasure this award, and especially I'll treasure the relationships I've had and the friendships I've developed with so many people connected with the Peggy Browning Fund over the past 20 years. I want to thank everyone for all of the ways that you have supported the Peggy Browning Fund and that you've supported me personally all these years. I want to share this recognition with all of the others who have made our success possible, starting with our founder, Joe Laurie, and all of the members of our board of directors and our advisory board, and all of the mentors who supervised our students all these years, and the countless volunteers who planned and implemented and carried off our annual workers' rights conferences and our regional advocating for workplace justice workshops. Of course, all of the donors, and then probably dearest to my heart, my fabulous staff, the talented and tireless and wonderful team that I will miss forever. So thank you again for honoring me with this award. It means so much to me. And if you really want to honor me and all of my hard work over the past 20 years, please do so by continuing to support the Peggy Browning Fund. Thank you again.
Thank you, Marianne, for all you have accomplished. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's 25th anniversary virtual awards program. It's been a pleasure to serve as your MC. Thank you for supporting the Peggy Browning Fund. We hope to see you in person in 2023. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Stay safe. Be well. Good night.